What is going on, fellow nerds and nerdettes? It is Darth. I am once again resurrected, back from the dead, coming at you, bringing you some more Queen's Blade Limit Break content. I want to start off by saying thank you, everybody who is sticking by the channel, at least for this type of game. I didn't think we would make it this far. I know I have been out of touch for a while, but I've been working on some projects, and we have been in triple-digit heat. I live in the desert, so it has been just absolutely killing me. I think we were 113 last week one day, and then it kind of dipped again. But anyways, we got a lot going on. I want to just, again, hello to all the new subscribers. If you've just subscribed, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, because I do like making content, and I'm looking into branching out into other things as I get more used to talking to you guys, making videos, and investing in stuff to kind of make videos a little more poppable. Stick with us. If you've just subscribed and you've seen a lack of content, there's still a lot out there to watch. It's still relevant to some degree. Stick with it. We are still in Queen's Blade Limit Break. In this one, we are going to go over, we're a little late. Actually, we're about a week late. We're going to go over the new Mind Attribute SP Warrior that was released about 6 days ago. She's actually pretty good. We'll take a look at her in a second, but I do want to give you guys a heads up that another new warrior looks like is coming this week, next week, I'm sorry. You see the outline here? This is an indication of generally of what attribute, and it has been pretty accurate so far, what attribute the warrior is going to be. So it looks like we are going to get another dual attribute. When the current new warrior came, this was blue, indicating mind. So it looks like we're going to get a new dual attribute. Be prepared for that. However, I'm going to echo something that my server has said. Well, those of us who are still talking and chat, we're an active server, trust me, but we are just, the talk in the chat is just non-existent. Anyways, G123 needs to slow down on the release of new warriors. I'm sorry, it just, I have my feelings about that, and I'll go over it in the state of the game that is coming up as well, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. So let's go take a look at the new warrior, and she looks, again, underage to be a warrior, let alone dressing the way that she does. But hey, you know what? I'm not hating on it. I love the outfit. I love... Oh, excuse me. I've been drinking Starbucks. So I love the blue and the blue coloring here. I really do. I'm not sure I like the spear of hers. It's okay, but it's not too provocative, but it hits the mark on every aspect. Coloring, artistic style, dressing, all of that. The spicy pose, let's take a look at her real quick. It's very simplistic, but it's also very innocent, to the point where I feel bad staring at her. And I'm still a guy, but I mean, she just, like, she's looking up like, you know what, I've had a hard day, just keep walking, motherfuckers. Let's just keep walking, you can come back, or at least tip me for staring. God damn it. Anyways, let's go take a look at her skills really quick. Her passive generally is, she's an SP warrior, so she's a warrior. So she's going to get a priority on the attack. She's going to get an increase to any attack that is added to her by 45%, HP 25%, and crit rate plus 15%. On DPS warriors, I think you see this mainly on warriors, but I like seeing crit rate, crit damage, things like that that boost their damage, because they need to really focus on damage. She has another passive here that when battle starts, immobilization resist of all enemies, negative 20%. That is solid. That's huge. It actually plays into a lot of different team comps for various reasons. And you don't see negative speed a lot on warriors. There are warriors out there that reduce speed. That's not what I'm saying, but she reduces their speed by 8%, which is not much, but in the scheme of things, if you're on par with your enemy, that might be enough to tip the scales to make your fish, God, I hate saying that, go first. Last for 2 turns, right? I don't know if this is reapplied. From one of my testing, it does not get reapplied, so it's only for 2 turns, but still gives you an edge at the start of battle. During the period, though, each of the time the target is affected by immobilization effects, freeze, things like that, the duration is extended by 1 turn, up to 3 times. So if you're lucky enough to get and go first, this is going to help out those instances where you're trying to immobilize, and the immobilization effects are going to be extended by 1 turn. I cannot tell Again, just because of the size of the screen and the lack of being able to see buffs, I cannot tell if this applies to Deep Freeze, which is the core immobilization. I do not believe it does, but don't quote me on that right now. So I usually skip around, but on this one, let's just go back to the first one. Deals 180% physical damage to the row with the most units. Okay, I forgot about that. With a 70% chance of inflicting freeze. This is huge. The reason I say this is huge is because freeze is a very, very good and very, very detrimental effect, especially when you pair it with people who can inflict freeze and the frost cores that last for 2 turns. If the target is already frozen, she'll deal an additional 90% fixed damage. Okay, that's actually pretty good. She specializes in freeze and fixed damage. Fixed damage is actually pretty good. Freeze just immobilizes. Let's just review freeze. This is not deep freeze, this is freeze. It just basically makes it so that you cannot move, with the exception of core skills and other things that do not respect that. The effect is removed after 3 attacks though, but the beautiful warrior will take shaved ice damage equal to 10% of their attack. Now, this is actually good because what it does is it keeps freeze in check. If you're going to freeze somebody, they basically become immobile, can't do anything except for certain passives that trigger outside of that respecting the freeze. But you take so many attacks, the freeze releases so that you're not just locked down consistently. This is one of those good things. And what I've noticed is that an attack doesn't count as an initial attack. So people who attack multiple times or hit 3 times in a row, unless that's not intended to do that, from my playtesting, 3 attacks like Alyssa might hit or Spicy Pirate hits, but she also damages several times depending upon what the warrior is doing. So if you get hit and damaged 3 times, it's not 3 attacks, it's damaged 3 times. The freeze will come off. I've actually frozen the enemy and then hit with Spicy Pirate. She took 3 damage and the freeze was removed. Okay, I like that because it keeps freeze in check. Whereas if it was just 3 attacks, you'd be just constantly frozen because this is a 2-turn cooldown. 70% chance to inflict freeze. Not build up to freeze. This is a 70% chance. And if you invest in jewels and things that increase your immobilization rate, this actually can be boosted even higher. She's very, very solid at inflicting freeze. She has on her A3 ability, attacks a single enemy 4 times. She will prioritize the target with the highest number of freeze. What the hell? When you get freeze, you get 1 freeze. It's not like you're being frozen 3 or 4 times. So that wording is a little bit weird. Dealing 70% fixed damage and up to 8% of the target's current HP. So it's not overpowered. As your HP gets lower, if you're dealing max HP damage, it's actually worse. So dealing current HP damage keeps HP damage in check, in my opinion. You can disagree if you want, but when you do the math, it just works out that way for the first 3 attacks. And there's another safeguard here, cannot exceed 300% of the user's attack. The final blow will deal 100% fixed damage. That's in addition to the damage there. Any other damages. And deals damage equal to 12% of the target's missing HP, which can be pretty detrimental as your HP goes down. So, for each target that has a freeze status, deal 70% fixed damage before the final blow. This is a very complicated wording, but man, this is what... She's doing a lot of damage with just this ability right here. I'm not sure why I'm kind of freezing there. Sorry about that. But anyways, let's go over Frostbite, because I don't think it mentioned here that it will inflict Frostbite. But Frostbite, when being attacked, loses HP equal to 20% of the user's attack, cannot be removed and lasts 3 turns. This plays into her final passive ability, which, if the enemy is affected by freeze, inflicts a frostbite that lasts for 3 turns. So, when being attacked, the target will lose 20% of the user's attack. That's actually pretty good. This is not to be confused with the other frost effect warrior in the mind attribute on, I want to say it's Sherberdy here, who inflicts frost. Okay? She builds up frost, and at certain frost levels, she will freeze. Now, I would like to have seen a little more cohesion between frost, and the Frostbite. But if you make it the same, you lose the uniqueness of each of these warrior classes that go. But I don't like it when these developers get in here and start throwing around 50 different freeze effects that we have to keep track of. Frostbite, there's really no reason for this to be here. I think Frost would have been just fine to pair well with Sherbert to inflict Frost better. Because I've been playing around with the Sherbert, and I gotta tell you, I don't really like her, and her Frost effect and her ability to freeze is pretty bad. Unlike this warrior here. So she's able to inflict Frostbite to targets with freeze. She has a high chance to freeze, and it is really good. And she does a lot of damage. If it wasn't for the fact that it's fixed damage and HP damage, she would not be doing a lot of damage. Now, let me just show you my last run. I did do a run with her at 9 stars. No spicy pose unlocked yet. I do have the ability to unlock it. She did about 56 million on Spider Boss with just basic gear on. Okay, let's go take a look just so you can see. She's the chosen warrior this week. No spicy pose. My damage on her is actually fairly decent considering, and no runes, no jewels, nothing. She did almost 60 million damage. And it's because of the HP type damage, even though Spider Queen's HP works a little different. But it's that fixed damage that helps. Now, what I'm not entirely sure about is if fixed damage has the ability to ignore defense, which I do not believe it does. It might ignore defense, but it does not, definitely doesn't ignore shields. So I am a little confused, and I should have done a little more research on that, but I'm just not sure. Now, in terms of a warrior, she is great for a couple of reasons. First, she's probably... Why is this game thing spinning? She is probably the best DPS in the Mind Attribute class. In my opinion. Okay, oh, I do have the ability. We'll talk about why I have so many copies of her. And that is saying something considering I haven't actually played around with one of the fan favorites, Ocean Princess. So she's probably... she's a warrior, but with the fixed damage and HP burn, she's probably the best DPS on a Mind Warrior. Now, whether or not you should pull for her, absolutely not if you are a new player or a beginning player. There are other warriors you need to focus on, like Nanelle, the Fish, now Bloom in the Mind Aspect. She's probably going to be your go-to for tank, in addition to the skill tank here, Shield Ally. Now, I missed my chance to take her to 12-star. I wish I did. But speaking of 12-star, I did decide to take the new warrior to 12-star. And there's a reason for that. It's because in the gallery, they have this warrior link. They added one with one of my new favorite warriors, Bloom. She's a meta character right now. She is S tier, if you're talking about tier list. And I want the attack HP bonuses that go with that for Bloom. And if I have to go through her to do it, because she's actually a solid Mind Warrior for the Mind Attribute, unless you have a Ultimate Warrior that can take the place of a Mind like Volko, you'll be able to use her throughout your Mind Attribute Tower. She'll be one of your best DPSs for Mind Attribute Tower, in addition to multi-staged boss battles like event bosses when it comes to Mind Attribute. So if you're going to prioritize a warrior in the Mind Attribute, you need to prioritize her over Sherbert, in my opinion. But Bloom should be your target, and I want this 30% bonus because I'm going to be taking her to 12-star as well to get that bonus and adding her as my primary tank because of what she does. Now, this new warrior pairs extremely well with Bloom because Bloom also has the ability to inflict freeze, and she is very effective at doing so. Now, I haven't played around too much more with the Mind Attribute as a whole, but you put immobilize up warriors in addition, like Philia and Bloom, who actually increases your ability, your immobilization rate, by the way. She becomes a very, very solid immobilizer that will serve you well in places like, where's a place you guys might have a problem with? Oh, Sanctum, under the Mind Attribute area. So that's it in a nutshell. I think she looks solid from an artwork standpoint. Her spicy pose is very tame. Her abilities are really, really good. If I had to give her a rating, I wouldn't quite put her in S tier. I'd put her just below that because of her ability to do damage. Not just to the enemy team, but her ability to freeze, as well as her ability to do damage to single target bosses, from monster takedown to guild bosses. Now, I haven't tested her out on an event boss because we don't have one, but I'll definitely post once that happens. So let me know what you guys have. What do you think of this warrior? Have you been pulling? Now, if you're not a new warrior, a new player, you definitely want to spend your 200 books, but because it's a 14-day run, you can actually use gems. As you can see, I use gems for half of this, actually, and then I use books for the other half. I always do 200 to unlock the spicy pose, because the reward gives you a copy of the warrior that you can burn. And then you have 14 days to use gems to pick her up. If anything, get her to 10 star. I think you'll be happy with her as a warrior, as well as unlocking the spicy pose. If you are an advanced player, that's what you should be doing. And whether or not you take her to 12 star would be up to you based on what I just said about the gallery. So let me know if you have her. Have you been playing with her? Have you used her in, like, not guild boss battles? Those are way too easy. Have you used her in monster takedown? And is she performing like she is for me, with minimal gear and, well, some gear on, minimal gear, and without jewels and such like that. So that's it for this one, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Look forward to more content coming out real soon.